What is up, people? I'd like to thank you for joining us again on the next episode of Level of Perspective. My name is David Harris, and today we'll be diving into a topic that is gaining steam very much so, and that is in the area of life coaching. Now, it was something I wasn't as familiar with, but I've been educating myself over the last week or so, and I am so happy to be joined by a good friend of mine and his wife who have decided to go down that path, and they are going to explain a little bit about what it is, what they're doing, and we hope to get into all of the benefits of this and how you may be able to take advantage of it as well if you have a need in that area. So first of all, let me introduce our guest, and they represent Forever Young Life Coaching. And I'd like to introduce Tommy and Carolyn. Carolyn, Tommy, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us, man.
Now, as was stated, you guys are supporting the difficult navigations or navigating difficulties regarding interpersonal relationships and a focus on strained relationships with a parent, co-parent, or child. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so since this is new to me, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of share with the audience what coaching is from your perspective. And again, you can touch on a little bit about your focus in that particular area with the strained parenting, co-parenting, and child, because I don't think it's news to anyone. There's a lot of that going on in our society today.
Absolutely, there is. I'll let Carolyn explain.
Please.
So first, I'm going to make some distinctions so that we understand exactly what coaching is and how we fit in the picture.
Okay.
Coaching is to help folks who have already dealt with, say, the trauma and the emotional stuff that goes along with these situations. And we're here to help people figure out like where they are currently and where they want to go. More of a goal-oriented situation. We let counselors deal with the emotional part and the how they got there and all of those details, but we're helping people figure out, okay, so this is where I am. Here's where I want to be. How do we make the plan to get there? So that's what we'll be doing with folks in our coaching practice. As you mentioned, this is a huge problem in society.
Amen.
I'm hard pressed to find anyone who doesn't deal with it in some capacity. And so seeing that need is what drove us to pursue this kind of coaching to help people. Tommy and I both have experience, unfortunately, in this situation ourselves. And so our experience was a great educator and relating to the issues that come up for people, common issues that come up for people in these situations. And so finding our way through that and developing a process to help folks is how this came to be.
Very interesting. And that was going to be my next question, was kind of what led you into this arena? You know,
Experience.
Yes,
Firsthand experience.
definitely experience.
Yes, I can relate to that situation as well. So in the little bit of research that I've been able to do, there are definitely distinctions between coaching, therapy, counseling, and things of that nature. So you've already made a somewhat of a distinction to it, but can you elaborate a little bit on the differences? Because I know for me, my initial thought was this sounds like either counseling or therapy or so forth, and you've enumerated some of the differences, but are there any other areas that you would like to clarify for the audience of what, as you said earlier, coaching is and isn't in regards to those areas?
Sure. So when we first experience some of the situations that we do in these interpersonal relationships,
Hmm.
we are hit with so much emotion, excuse me, emotion and what I'm going to call reactivity. We want to react to it somehow because of its injustice, because of the pain, because of whatever. And that part right there is when you first enter the situation and you still have to process it, you still have to make sense of it, you have to give meaning to different parts of it so that you can move through it, okay?
Hmm.
That's the counseling side of life, okay?
Okay.
That you would do through a counselor. They give you different therapeutic tools to help you understand how you got there, help you identify if this is a repeating pattern in your life, all that kind of stuff. That is the counseling and therapeutic side of helping folks with these problems. The coaching side comes kind of, I want to say, after that or
Oh,
alongside that.
okay.
If someone is able to keep the therapy side on the therapy and then the coaching side on the coaching, they can run together. But we as coaches look at, okay, so someone has identified where they are as a result of said relationships and experiences, and they can articulate where they'd like to be. And so an example would be, let's say there's a co-parenting situation that's not going well.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's affecting the kids because they're the ones that tend to suffer through those situations more than anyone else.
Hmm.
And so they've gone through the therapeutic side to figure out how they got here, what their contributions may have been, what repeating patterns may be at play in their life, and they're addressing that. But now they want to look more at, okay, so here I am in the strained relationship,
Hmm.
and I really want a, let's say, example, a good co-parenting potential with the other parent, or I want to be able to spend more time with my kids and help them develop and grow the positive part of them, even though they're in this mess, whatever their goal might be. That's where we sit down with them, individual, very customized, and make that plan to help them accomplish that if it's possible.
That was going to be my next question is the goal, because now I'm understanding it from the research that I've done, and you articulated that very well, which is you're, from what I understand, the coaching side is dealing with where you are now going forward, as opposed to
Correct.
the therapy and so forth, which is how you got there. Did I get that correct?
You got it.
Yes,
Absolutely
that's
correct.
right.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess my next question would be, as far as a goal for coaching, whether you or anyone else that's in that field, kind of what are you trying to get them? Because from what I understand, there's a lot of questions that you guys ask. In the research that I've done, it's a lot more questions as opposed to the therapy and counseling of giving someone answers, so to speak. You're kind of trying to guide them from where they are. But if you, everybody is different, but kind of what would a success, I guess, is my best
Mhm.
question. What would a successful coaching session end up? Where do you want someone to go from there? What would be the ideal scenario?
Good question. So you touched on something very interesting, which is counseling is more pointing people in the direction of a particular answer.
Uh-huh.
Coaching is, we believe the answer is already within the person. They
Oh,
already kind of know.
that's interesting.
And yeah, and sometimes the answer we know isn't the one we really want, but it still may be the answer. And
Mm.
sometimes we have the answer buried so deep that we aren't acknowledging the answer. And so the questions that we ask people are designed to help them uncover what they're already kind of knowing so that they can move on the path that is correct for them. So we're not going to say to anyone, resolve it, don't resolve it. We're not going to say to anyone, do this, do that, and it'll be fine. We're going to ask questions that help them uncover what they might already know and the process that's going to work best for their situation. I think if we think about the people we know who have these strained relationships in their families, just because let's say a parent and a child are having a strained relationship, like an adult child,
Uh-huh.
if you take three different relationships that are all parent and adult child that are strained, none of them will probably have the same path to resolution if resolution is possible. So,
Interesting.
yeah, helping people find what fits for them with the answers that they kind of already have in them.
Okay, because again, my my quick research, one of the aspects of that was defining what they want. So do you see what they want out of life, assessing again where they stand at the moment? So as you said, it's already there. That really resonated with me. How do
Mhm.
you get that? How do you get them to
See it?
acknowledge? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, good question. So, you asked what a successful coaching session looks like. And
Uh-huh.
I think it's more than a session. These things are more like a process.
Uh-huh.
There's no one magic bullet hour necessarily that's going to give all the answers and now we're good and we move on. It's more of a process. So we have the process of an initial consultation to see if our coaching and their needs are a good match.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have what we call a discovery call where they get to kind of tell us what's going on for them.
Okay.
And from that, we develop different points that they would like to accomplish, call them goals, if you like.
Uh-huh.
And so when we then move to regular coaching sessions out of that discovery call, we're going to be touching on those goals or those points that they brought up that they want to work through. And each session then is going to be tailored in a progressive format, if you will, for them to accomplish all the things that came up for them in that discovery call.
So you're in, I'm getting a vision, if you will, and forgive me, of kind of Legos. You're they're they're building, as you said, it's already there. So if you can bring that out, it's almost a form of architecture in a way. You're kind of helping them build.
Sure, that's a great way to look at it. And they first have to discover, because if they don't
Uh-huh.
discover, then they don't know what to build or how to build, right? So it's kind of like Legos. When you discover all the different shapes and colors and sizes and things that are there, you discover
You
them,
can
then you
put them
go,
together.
ooh, if I put them together like
Right.
this, I get a car. Or if I put them together like this, I get a house or whatever. So that's a good analogy.
So Tommy, I want to get you in here. You've been silent over there for way too long. And I know you're dipping your toe into this. So, all right, we keep it 100 around here. So, I have kids, you have kids. When you talk about strained parental relationships, as I said, that is everywhere. So, for you to get in this, and as you said, experience, and we absolutely have experience.
Yes,
What do you think
absolutely.
you can help with that you're bringing to someone in a conversation, especially with coaching in relation to
Well,
this situation, that specific, what you're focusing in on, those strained relationships. And as Carolyn said, you have the kids to deal with. This is almost like a game of Jenga. You know, if you pull the wrong thing, the whole house falls down, and the kid will have to deal with the
sure.
aftermath. So trying to
Yeah.
balance that. What are you trying to bring in regards to that situation?
Well, I'm definitely bringing the experience and the knowledge, and the
Mhm.
goal is working through that difficult situation that was dealt, trying to help that person reach, let's say, at the end goal to where they might be okay to either like maybe want to rekindle or a better way to move on, let's just say.
Okay. Okay. So, and again, that's what's interesting to me about this. You're not doing any necessarily suggestive things.
No.
You have to find out what they want. But I guess I'm curious as to that because, Carolyn, as you said earlier, there's so much emotion involved in this. And if someone is presenting a goal to you that's absolutely not either beneficial or that's going to help the situation, how do you handle that? How do you deal with them at an emotional height?
So let me clarify. Are you asking like if somebody's goal was, let's say, revenge, which didn't have anything to do with the best case for anyone? How would
That
we
could
handle
be,
that?
yeah, if they presented that to you, and again,
Mhm.
we're thinking if you're at the height of something and you're angry, even though you are seeking some help
Mhm.
with this,
Mhm.
but right now where you are, how do
Isn't
you
great.
overcome that?
So, first of all, the consultation call helps us understand where they're coming from
Mm-hmm.
initially. And if it is a situation where they're going to be more well served with counseling at that
Okay.
moment, then that is going to be recommended. And we have networked with different counselors to be able to offer those services, reputable folks that, we can trust our people with.
Okay.
Um, if it's the normal emotion now, after you've kind of been through and worked through that initial stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
if either of us talk about our own situations currently,
Yeah.
even
You've
though they've
been through
been
like the 12 stages and all of
Yes,
that good
right,
yes,
stuff.
yes,
right.
yes. We've been through it.
Even if we were to talk about our personal situations right now, there's still a decent amount of emotion with it because it
Uh-huh.
matters to us, right?
Right.
That's different than maybe the initial stages of, right?
Okay.
And so that we can deal with a little differently. If someone were to present goals that are just not aligned for anyone's best interest or would actually be destructive,
Mm-hmm.
I would question them in the beginning and try and see if they're open to seeing the error of that, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not, then we're not the
We're
people
not,
to help.
yeah, we won't be able to
Un-
coach them.
Understood.
And
Understood.
and we're
I
not
just
bashful
wanted to
about
ask
saying so, yeah,
that.
because that is never going to be good for anyone.
Right. Yeah,
And so,
that won't end well. That
right,
won't
No,
end well.
right.
So not Tommy, from the male point of view, and Carolyn, I'll ask you this after the fact.
Mhm.
And well, before I get to that, so I'm getting the sense back in the day, chiropractic care, right, was most doctors or orthopedic doctors thought it was, whack science and everything else. But we reached a point where they were finally, it took, 20, 30 years or more, but they were finally embraced into the science of medicine and things of that nature. So
Yes.
I'm not sure exactly how new life coaching is. Now, when I first heard of it, or we had this conversation, my initial thought was, well, that's your parent, or that's, a coach, or that's someone else. So, but the more I've looked into it, I get it. So, do you feel as though, and from what I've looked up, and you mentioned that you team up with different groups, that this is now being folded into the entire therapy and all of that. You're just another piece of that puzzle, but accepted by that ecosystem, if you will.
yep.
Yeah, much more than ever before. And I think in part it's because the education that comes now to become a certified coach
Mm-hmm.
makes those distinctions between, say, counseling and coaching and whatnot. So you have a lot less people trying to step outside their lane and be a counselor when they're really only trained for coaching or vice versa. So I think people respecting their lane has given more credibility to the practice. You know, you're always going to have folks in any field that don't stay in their lane.
Trying to overstep their boundaries.
Right. So whatever happens with that happens
Yeah.
with that. But for the most part, there's a real effort to keep coaching in its lane. And when that happens, counselors and other professionals respect.
Right, because I would think it would be a very helpful extension of
Yes.
that, because it's not nearly enough of any of them to meet the needs of
Right.
a lot of people. And if you're coming at this from the right way, which you guys seem to be, it could really help communities and people all over the place who might, in a lot of ways, they might not feel comfortable going to either a therapist or a psychiatrist or something, but as someone coaching who is either within their community or anything like that, they might feel more comfortable sharing
Sure.
or talking to you guys, which can make you either a conduit to the back end of either that therapy if it comes to that. But I would think that would be embraced, especially now, as you said, with the certifications. And it seems that there's a lot more, what technical isn't the word I'm looking for, or as you said, education involved in it with the certifications.
Absolutely. It's given a lot of credibility.
Okay, so Tommy, again, as you're dealing with the fellas, and I'm sure we all know, it would be safe to say just about all of us know someone who's either in it, been through it.
Yep.
Kind of, what is your assessment of the state of mind for the alpha male and the opportunity for coaching with us?
State of mind would be, okay, you've gone through this difficult time. Uh, you're looking for resolution.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a person who can relate to you. I've done all the counseling and been through the trenches. I've learned to do things a different way.
Mm,
So now that I've learned how to do things a different way and you haven't found that way, I am here to help you find that way.
mm. So you've got the roadmap, the blueprint through
Yes,
experience. You've traveled the road. Do you
absolutely.
think they will either listen or try to utilize that? The word that I'm looking for just escaped me, but utilize that resource. That's what I'm looking
Yes,
for.
if they're
You as
really,
a
if
resource.
I do think they would really utilize it, especially if they're really looking for a different way that they've been stuck in. They couldn't find a path forward. They're seeing someone who has found a path forward. So if they're serious about moving forward, yes, I think they will utilize it and want to move forward in the best way possible.
Okay, because that is really needed.
Yes, sir.
The ramifications from
Absolutely.
a legal standpoint, a financial
Absolutely.
standpoint, and everything
Absolutely.
else is heightened on our
Yes.
end, to
Indeed it
say
is.
the least. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
you really don't want those people in your life, or in your pocket. So yeah, as far, especially for young men, and I
Yeah.
understand
Yes.
that they might not have been through everything yet, but I would strongly encourage them to go in that direction, because
Absolutely.
so you can tell me what you think of this, and I have a question for you, Carolyn. The adage was, we're gonna make our mistakes, right? Let us make our mistakes. Well, that kind of runs counter. I thought the point of life was to not make mistakes. So what you are offering them in this situation could save them money, time, emotion. I mean, all kinds of things that you
Yes.
don't have to go through. You
Right.
don't have to experience all of that in a
That's
negative
right.
fashion.
That's right. That's absolutely correct.
Now, Carolyn, the other side of this coin, okay, I'm wondering, do women, because they're in a position of power,
Usually. Mhm.
usually right in these relationships,
Mhm.
do you see more, or do you believe, or within the industry, more women? Because again, if they go to a court or they're upset or they get any type of legal documentation or whatever, they pretty much have their hand on the wheel. Is there a balance, or is there more women that you believe not just benefit but would seek that than men, or vice versa?
Hmm. So in your editing, you have the ability to bleep, right?
Yes. Hey, we don't work for anybody, though. You feel free to say what you want.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I will say the system is definitely slanted to favor women.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. However, there's a fair number of women in situations of these strained relationships
Mm-hmm.
because of the co-parent.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if I had to break it down clearly, the majority of people that are dealing with when the kids are young type problems in co-parenting are
Mm-hmm.
men. They're the ones that get that one. Um, I I have seen a significant number of women take that hit after the kid is grown.
That's a very interesting point. Go ahead.
Right. So I'm not going to get into specifics, but
Right,
that's
right.
more
Yeah,
of the
no, no.
experience set that I come from. And it's a little unusual, but it's becoming, unfortunately, much more common and much more popular, if I can word it that way.
Yes, yes. And
So,
go
to
ahead. I'm
answer
sorry.
it's okay. To answer the question, yes, I think men are the ones that take the brunt of that when the kids are younger. And I think both take it when the kids are older. It's just a matter of which human is being shitty, which
No,
way
no,
it
I
goes.
totally get it. And that, I believe, is something that's very important, and that your industry, as I mentioned to Tommy earlier, may be able to get to earlier,
Mhm.
because the end result is, as you said, there can be very harsh ramifications from the child because of what they've experienced in watching these two people
Sure.
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. And there's a few other dimensions as well
That's correct.
that, we can talk about another time. But I think the point remains that we, first of all, don't have an agenda for the people that come to
Mhm,
us. Okay.
mhm,
Tommy's and my situation with our kids are very different. He is in a place where, reconciliation is possible. He hopes for that one day. He hopes to have good relationship that way. And that's amazing. And I hope that for him as well. My situation, that isn't the same case. Reconciliation is not an option. And so, two very different perspectives and experiences. But the bottom line is adjusting to the new normal and figuring out how to move forward with what is
mm.
while you either hope for what could be or have to consistently reconcile your mind to what is.
Wow, which is the foundation, as you said, of coaching, dealing with the present and forward.
Correct.
Wow, wow. This conversation has just brought to mind how much of a need for this
That is why we are
there
here.
is. Yeah,
It's so funny. I'm just going to throw in a
no,
little
please,
personal experience.
please.
After we made the decision that, yeah, this is the direction we need to go, because there was some hesitation, right? With all the
Hmm.
experience on the table, there's some hesitation, but we made the decision. And so we started making our plan. And the day we made the decision, we had gone to get our blood drawn for our annual physicals. And the technician started talking to us about her broken relationship with her
With their
kids.
kid.
Just
Uh-huh.
out of the blue. Like we hadn't been discussing this at all, just
At
out of the
all.
blue. We were like, huh, that's interesting. And then that afternoon, Tommy and I went to lunch. Our server started talking to us about their broken relationship
With their
with
kid.
Mhm.
So it was like, okay,
Wow.
that's our calling. That is our calling.
It is
That's
so
confirmation right there.
prevalent, so prevalent.
Yep.
And you know, there's nothing I have to really add to that experience because it really is. And I think where my next question or where I would like to go to piggyback on that a little bit is we find ourselves in society today. And again, I'm focusing in on the younger people. The mental health, the status of relationships, uh, the influences of the entertainment industry, music, social media, all of these things are weighing on these young people in ways that they did not for our generation. So
Right.
it leads me again to believe, not that older people can't benefit from this greatly as well, but these young people are dealing with pressures that were inconceivable to us in our 20s, you know, early parentinghood.
For sure.
How do you view the current social structure when it comes to them and what they're experiencing? And what do you think you could possibly help them with through coaching?
It's a good question.
It is a good question. You have an answer?
Take that.
I don't either. Don't feel bad.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is while the younger people have had more of their life encompassed with these things, it is actually a problem that's society wide. All age groups are impacted and affected by entertainment, social media, the digital age, and
Influences.
yeah, influences for sure. One of the things you said was, they're having trouble with relationship. I think the very definition of relationship has been changed because of these things.
Mm.
And I would start there
Okay.
because there's studies out talking about how cyberbullying is able to be the thing that it is. And it's because people have a device between them and the other person. So it's not as personal and they feel empowered to say and do more hurtful stuff because it's less personal. The problem, not just with cyberbullying, but devices in general, being what's between us and other people, is we've stopped teaching our youngsters how to have interpersonal relationship with a live human. We've forgotten how to teach effective communication, and we've forgotten how to teach conflict resolution. And without those, relationship suffers drastically. So now we have people that handle things through devices without those skills in place, right? So now when let's say you're in the job, right, at a job
Mm-hmm.
place, and your supervisor has to come to you and say, so with our brand and the way we do business here, I can't have you chewing gum with your mouth open at the register, and I can't have you scrolling your phone while you're between orders.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, Tommy, and we hear that and we go, damn, got to button up and be right. Okay, got it. For them, it's a personal attack on them
On who they are. Mm-hmm.
because it's direct and it's person to person and there's no device to buffer it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That is
Like,
correct.
wow. So then you combine that with the people, I'm going to say it's not all youngsters, but the people that just marinate in social media and the algorithms begin to send them just more of all the stuff that they're marinating in already. And that then becomes their reality.
You
And
know,
there's a
oh, I'm sorry.
saying,
Go ahead.
it's okay. There's a saying out there that perception is reality. And
Yes.
back in the day, that meant something different than what it's become to mean now. And now what it means is you, which is anybody else, has to bend to my reality.
Mhm.
And yet they won't bend to someone else's reality. So we've actually lost the foundational floor of reality.
Mm.
And if you don't have the foundational floor of reality, you have nothing to build on.
You know, we're not as I've talked with my mentor and I put out to people, this is not a religious show. I'm not here to preach to anyone, as you said earlier. There's no agenda or narrative here, but I will from time to time, use religious text or phrases or something to bolster a point. And the one that you just made, the one that came to mind, and I can't quote it, but I will just paraphrase it, is how did it go? Basically, when the good foundations are destroyed, what do you have left? And I know I'm butchering that up a little bit, but it goes to your point of that floor, the foundation. The hierarchies have been inverted. Because
Yes.
Tommy, you can attest to this, Carol, and I'm sure you can too. Anybody in our generation can. I ask people all the time, when we were kids, what were we running?
The streets.
No, I mean, as far as like you run your household, right? You know what you
Right,
said.
right.
What were we running? What
N-
went that we said?
Nothing.
Nothing.
We weren't running nothing
Absolutely right.
at all.
We were
At all.
running nothing.
We was running from an ass whooping.
That is correct. So, Carolyn, I bring that up because of what you just said. That everything you said was correct. As Denzel once said, this is a dictatorship, not a democracy. I am the law. That's
Right.
how it went.
That's how
Yes.
it went.
But that's not how it is anymore. But in that vein, we have to deal with them because that is their reality. And as parents, as you say, when you say co-parenting, parents and the strained relationships with a child, it doesn't get much more strained than if that is the perception or the reality of a child and you are not acquiescing to that.
Well, it becomes alienated, right?
There you go.
It's alienated 100%. And then the division comes in because there's alienated.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow. And that's your part of your focus that you're diving into that deep pool.
Yes.
Wow.
That's where we're going with it.
Okay, then.
Because the need is huge. And those who understand and recognize that and want it different in their own lives, let's do it.
Wow. Okay. Look, this has been very informative for me. I appreciate both of you taking the time to come on and shed some light on this. And before we wrap up, and I'll have one more thing, but again, we see your sign back there. Go ahead and let the audience know where and how they can reach out to you if they are in need of your services.
Absolutely. Foreveryounglifecoaching.com is our website, and it'll be going live here this next week. We're so excited.
Okay.
And then
I like the
connect.
sign.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The email address people can reach out
Mhm.
is connect@foreveryounglifecoaching.com. Those are going to be the best ways to get a hold of us and have a scheduling opportunity for that consultation call.
Okay, and I will have that posted up on our Facebook page, as well as our other website, and I will be happy to direct anyone because you are correct. And just to touch on what you said in conversations and places that you are, if you are a person that conversates with people, you can hear that a lot, those situations. And that tells me that, excuse me, I believe in aura energy is a real thing. And you guys have to be carrying some of that for someone to open up and speak to you about that situation.
Sure.
So when you said kind of divine intervention, or that was kind of your sign, your signal,
Mhm.
I think there's a reason for that.
Thank you.
That makes sense. Because people don't usually just
Mm.
have that conversation with
You're
someone that
absolutely
they're
right.
drawing blood from. You know what I mean?
That's
But
right.
Yes.
some of the great counselors or coaches in the world have been your barbers and your bartenders. You know what I mean? Because they catch everything. But now we have a field, as I said earlier, that I think people might feel a lot more comfortable with. And I will try to direct anybody that I know that may be in that situation. And I will definitely promote this and promote you guys as we deal with young people through our nonprofit, and they're having kids. And as you said, what's going on in the early stages to try to prevent that alienation on the back end.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, we do.
Thank you so much, and please keep me posted on the progress and where it's going, and any updates on the industry, what you're doing, how it's going. And I hope to have you guys back here once you get everything up and running to kind of find out how it's going. And again, any way we can assist you, it'll be my pleasure and an honor.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on, my friend.
Hey, man, thank you again, Carolyn and Tommy, for Ever Young Coaching. Hey, if you know somebody in need, please reach out. And as always, please like, subscribe, leave a comment on the show. I do believe there's a lot of people out there in this situation and in this circumstance and in need. So hopefully we'll get that. And as always, you can comment on the show at yourtake26@gmail.com, and please reach out to us on Facebook. And thank you again for joining us. Until next week on Level of Perspective. My name is David Harris. Peace out.